los barquitos de canela, yo me mancharía entera por salvarla mi bandiera. Yo me mancharía entera por salvarla mi bandiera.
The New World Haggadah is a unique item that I hope will have a place in the Passover Seder as generations become more diverse, more multicultural, and as they pay attention to different forces that historically have descended on our table and that connect us in terms of tradition to diasporas that have previously been ignored.
When Ilan asked me if I were interested in doing the artwork for the New World Haggadah, I was more than excited. I read the manuscript and I thought it was really a very special and different type of Haggadah.
My hope is that through the New World Haggadah, the taste of the food, the texture of the pages that we often use for the Passover will be different.
I think the great openness of the sky, the beauty of the mountains, and the beauty of the desert, those colors also are imprinted in this particular Haggadah. It has the warmth, and at the same time, it has some of the beautiful greens, blues of the mountains.
I want the New World Haggadah to pay attention to groups that have been left outside or marginalized, not brought to the center. Latino culture, Sephardic culture in particular, there are multiple voices that converge on that table. And I want that celebration of Passover, a holiday that deals with exile and with the migration, to truly show us that Jewish memory is a sum of parts that connect us to very many different parts of the world.
I wanted every page to be different so that in a way it follows what happens to people when people are migrating, going from one place to the other. You know, Galut, the living from Egypt, which is imprinted in all of our Jewish minds. I wanted to express it in every single page. That's why everyone is different.
In my case, I grew up in Mexico City, the descendant of Eastern European Yiddish-speaking Jews. The community that we lived in was very small, and we were always in contact with Latino-speaking and Sephardic Jews. I heard those sounds, the sounds of Latino and the sounds of French and the sounds of heavily accented Arabic, Spanish in the neighborhood, in the Passover table, in other Jewish holidays. The poetry that is in the New World Haggadah attempts to be a reflection, a mirror of the different elements that came to us in Mexico when I was growing up. It's a poetry about the plight of the Jews out of Egypt and how Egypt is really both a place in space, and it is also a metaphor. We are always leaving Egypt. We carry Egypt within ourselves, looking for another promised land.
This Haggadah is full of poetry, and I wanted my images to also be very lyrical. It was really a pleasure to be able to work on this Haggadah and to have the freedom to express in images what all those words convey to me. Passover is the feeling of freedom and love. And love because in Passover we celebrate with a Seder, and this Seder is with the family, with friends, and we love to remember the words that have been said for many, many generations.
We have dinner every night. We have dinner with our loved ones, but we separate 2 nights a year in order to celebrate one cathartic, one historical moment, the moment in which the Israelites left Egypt as slaves and sought their freedom. And it is often said that all of us, when we take possession, when we become conscious of the role that we play in time and space, are witnesses of Mount Sinai and are also those that were literally pushed out of Egypt after those plagues into the wandering years in the desert and in the hope of arriving to a new reality, a new world, a new promised land.
For those of us who have migrated in different occasions to different places, every time that we do the Passover Haggadah, it has a very particular and very special meaning.
We do this dinner with a very strict ritual. That is, we know the songs, we know the tropes, we know the story, but it is left to us, to each generation, to renew the songs, to renew the story, to make it have new meaning. I love that concept of ritual. Ritual is both an invitation to do exactly as those before us have done and those after us will, but also the possibility that what we do is not rigid, is not schematic, is not square, but it invites us to be individuals in it, to have our own approach and our own interpretation. And that's why I think the Seder is such a popular holiday for the Jewish people, because we know that we're repeating, but we know that repetition doesn't need to be flat, that it can be full of meaning, and it always depends on how we infuse that meaning to make it more lively and more entertaining to our family and to our neighbors and to ourselves. And next year in Jerusalem, in many languages, and dancing in ways that we can bring different brothers and sisters together.